Before every football game, coaches develop a game plan. But the game isn't won because of some great plan on paper. It's won because every decision during the game aligns with that plan. Life works the same way. On this podcast, we've discussed the importance of a game plan. But now the game has started. Life has started. We're in the middle of it. The clock is running. We have to make decisions. The question today isn't whether you have a plan. We've answered that question. We've discussed how to do it. We've sat down, we've put some thought into it. We have a good overview. This is what we want to accomplish. This is why we want to accomplish it. This is big picture how we think we're going to accomplish it. Today the question is, do your daily decisions align with that game plan that you've already established? How do we ensure successful and productive drives? Welcome to Down and Distance, where the concepts of football meet the principles of godly manhood and leadership. I'm Coach Kramer, and here we talk about what it means to lead with purpose and advance with strategy on the field of life. Leadership's about calling plays. It's about making critical decisions. It's also about knowing your position, trusting your team, and executing with faith. This is Down and Distance. Today we're going to start talking about the drive. We're going to introduce the drive today, and then over the next couple of weeks we'll break down what I believe are the critical aspects of what it takes to create a successful drive, right? What it takes to score. How do those decisions stack up, and where do they come from? What makes us make the decisions that we're going to make, right? It's about how godly men move the ball down the field of life. The drive stands for, it's an acronym for direction, right? So the decisions that we make need to be in alignment with our game plan as it pertains to direction. We need to be making sure we're going in the right way, right? That the things we're doing are taking us one step closer to what we're trying to accomplish, okay? The R is response, and we're going to talk about in a couple of weeks the difference between a response and a reaction, and how responses define you, where reactions just describe you. And we'll go into detail about that. The I in drive is intentionality, and we'll talk about how we make decisions with intentionality, and why it's important that there's intentionality behind the decisions that we make, that we're not just kind of doing things with gut feelings or whatever. Like there are intentional reasons or purpose behind what we're doing. The V is for vigilance, right? And we're going to talk about why it's important to understand the potential obstacles that could be in our way, right? Just as a play caller, we're calling plays in football, yes, specifically for a reason, because we think we see something, but we also have to understand and be aware of the potential issues that could be created during that play and make sure that we account for them. And we'll talk about how vigilance isn't always about seeing an obstacle and avoiding it. Sometimes obstacles in life are not avoidable, right? So let's have a plan when we get there to go through that obstacle, right? To kind of handle it, take it on as it comes. And then the E is expectation, and we'll talk about how expectation is birthed from the investment that we've made, right? The commitment to our game plan that we've made should create a level of expectation in our lives and in the things that we do every day, right? So it's about how godly men move the ball down the field of life, okay? So consistent touchdowns are not a result of chance, right? In football, are there big plays that just kind of happen, or players just make plays, break tackles, all that stuff? 100%. Absolutely. Does that happen in our day-to-day lives where things just kind of seem to work out regardless of what we do? 100%. Absolutely. I'm not saying that that's not the case. I'm saying that's not a way to build a foundation on the things that you're doing and the decisions that you make just hoping it works out, right? So they're not a result of chance. Great drives are a result of strategic, well thought out, intentional play calls that are then executed with skill. Okay, and we're not going to talk a lot about skill over the next couple weeks because this is about the reason we make decisions. But just know when I say things, I'm saying them with the assumption that there's a skill set involved that you can accomplish the things that you're trying to accomplish, that you can actually do that, right? We're going to talk about how one negative play doesn't end a drive. Just like in football, we can take a sack, throw an incomplete pass, get tackled by the line of scrimmage on a run play. Doesn't kill the drive. It makes the next decision a little bit harder. It changes the parameters of the next decision, right? But it doesn't kill the drive. Consistent negative plays, okay, that result from a pattern of poor decisions, those will kill the drive. They'll kill momentum, and they'll change the direction of the entire game, right? So likewise, in life and leadership, your drive, right, your daily sequence of decisions, lock that in. Your drive, when I say the drive, I'm talking about the daily sequence of your decisions that you make. Those determine your outcome. Just as an offensive would in football, you have to learn to read the defense, right? What's going on during the week? What are the things that are fighting against what I'm trying to accomplish? Adjust to the pressure, manage the clock, and execute each play with clarity. You must navigate your own down and distance and your field position with that same intentionality. Your direction gives your drive purpose. Your response determines how you'll adjust when things don't go as planned. Your intentionality keeps you committed to the play and ultimately the game plan. Your vigilance protects you from blindside hits or turnovers, and your expectation shapes your confidence in what's coming next. Nothing in life moves forward by accident. Our progress has to be the result of intentional, well thought out choices. Don't just call plays and hope they work. Call the right next play. So in football, coaches, if you watch a lot of football, play callers are all different, right? And so you'll see coaches on the sideline with multi-page call sheets, color-coded sections with, they'll have a section for drive starters, or they'll have, sections for first down, and based on the field zone, this is what I'm going to do in first down if I'm in this area of the field or on this hash, and these are my second long plays, and these are my second short plays, and so on and so on and so on. They'll have 2-point conversions on there. They'll have special plays where it's, it's sudden change type scenarios or whatever, right? So their call sheet is going to have all of that on there. Just page after page after page. They're constantly flipping, looking, like all the stuff highlighting. Then you have other coaches that it's like a memo card. It's just a little sheet of paper that looks like it's got 8 or 10 things written on there. And all of that comes back to their preference, right? Their personality. We can't all do things the same way. We're not all built the same way. We've talked about that. We've talked about strengths and we've talked about weaknesses. So that's all part of when you come up with your game plan. Some of it has to do with the way their offense is designed, like what they're trying to accomplish and who they are and what they've taught their kids and how everything kind of works together. So I say all that to say that the magic is not in how you build the call sheet. There's not a right way, I don't believe, to establish how you're going to make these decisions. What makes it correct is, does it work for you and does it get you where you're trying to go? Okay, are you a coach that wants everything written down? On Monday at 10 o'clock I'm doing this, at 11 I'm doing this, at 12 if so, then do it. Right? If that's what it takes to be successful, do it. But if you're one that just needs little kind of highlighted reminders, just kind of memory, things to trigger your memory to cause you to do something, they're more big picture. If that's the way you're bent, then do it. It doesn't matter. Okay, that's my point. The design of the call sheet doesn't matter. Okay, coaches understand the value of having a well thought out and planned decision making metric based on the information that they've gathered, the truth that they know, and built from the game plan that they've built. So that's their metric for making decisions. The call sheet helps them. That's what they go back to. That's their default for making the decisions that they make. So life is just a series of drives. Every decision is a play call and it's part of a whole. What I mean by that is, it's easy for us to take a big, especially big decisions, right? And let's just be clear, I'm not talking about what you want for lunch. I'm talking about real decisions here, okay? So, but it's easy for us to look at those and kind of work through that one decision. What do I want from this? How do I want to do this? What are the negatives? What are the positives, pros and cons, and all that stuff? It's easy to do those, make the decision, see what happens, and then next time something comes up, you kind of go through this same process. And I'm not saying that that's right or that's wrong. I'm just saying that doesn't align with what we're talking about. And what we're talking about is more of an intentional approach. It's more of a understanding that each decision is part of a whole. And I think what it does is it negates the gravity of that situation. It allows you to add some more truth to what you're trying to do and not look at that one decision as a major impact type decision on your life, but it's just part of a whole, right? I'm going to make it knowing where I'm trying to go. I'm going to make it knowing it's a response, not a reaction. It's going to be something I can do with intentionality. It'll be something I'm aware of the potential negatives to it. And because of that, I'm going to have a certain expectation coming out of that it's going to be a great decision. And that's going to allow me to then stack the next decision up on top of that, and then the next one and the next one and so on, leading me to the end zone, right? To where I'm trying to go, to be successful. And I think when we do things in more of a strategic pattern like that, then it allows us to have a little bit more confidence in what we're doing, but it gives us structure too. And I think consistency is important. When we don't do that, then I think we tend as men to default to kind of gut feeling or listening to the noise and opinions of others. And trust me, I am one that firmly believes opinions matter from trusted sources. I always say respect the opinions of those you respect. And what I mean by that is if there's a man in my life that I want to ask his advice about something, about a major decision I'm going to have to make, then I value his opinion. If it's not something I'm probably going to ask advice from, I'm not saying you're rude. I'm just saying I probably don't care as much about what your opinion is if I'm not also going to seek advice from you. So I think you narrow the scope of who you're listening to and where the noise is coming from when you understand that every decision is just a part of a whole. So an example of this, I think, of the drive, a great example is Nehemiah, right? So short version is that Nehemiah hears, he's a cupbearer for the king, and he hears that the walls have been destroyed. He equates that to kind of the honor being negated for his people, and he feels like that God is calling him to rebuild the wall, right? So the direction for this decision that he has to make is to bring glory back to his people and to bring a way for them to honor God and what they do and to protect his people, right? Or provide protection for them. So that's the direction. His response is not to just go do it, just boom, here we go. That's a reaction. His response is gather the help, gather the supplies. He starts with fasting, prayer, seeking God's wisdom. Make sure he's doing everything the right way, okay? Then the intentionality comes in when he does that. He gathers the specific supplies that he needs. He gets the specific men that he knows can help. He's got a plan. So he's not just going to go and look at it and just kind of start throwing some rocks together. Like, he's got a plan. Those steps, every little detail is intentional towards what he's trying to accomplish, okay? Vigilance in this story is absolutely the most vigilant example I think I could, or the best example I could give for vigilance. They literally build the wall with a weapon in one hand and a tool in the other, right? Because they're constantly fighting off the enemy as they're trying to rebuild this wall, because the enemy does not want this to happen. The enemy does not want the people to be back on this level and God to be honored and all of that stuff. So they're in constant attack. So they're literally weapons in one hand, tools in another. That is vigilant at its core, okay? Expectation is that they're going to rebuild the wall. because they've done everything correctly to that point. They've done everything in the direction that they feel like they're supposed to do. It is an accurate response to what needs to happen. There are intentional steps involved, and they've been vigilant along the way. So the expectation that it's going to get done, and it does get done in like 52 days or something like that. So it is completed, and I think that is a great example of what we're supposed to do, big picture, in our lives as men, as husbands, as fathers, as leaders, as friends, as whatever, is what's the problem? How do I solve it? Right? Okay, here's what I think. Here's what I think I need to do. Okay, does that align with where I'm trying to go? Is that take me in the correct direction? Is this decision a response? Is it intelligent? Is there a goal to it? Right? I'm not just reacting. Okay, I can put meat kind of to this thing. Are there some intentional steps I can take to ensure its success? Have I thought about the potential issues or pitfalls or struggles or trials or whatever? And am I prepared for them? Not that they're not going to be there, but I'm just prepared for them. And because of all that, then I should have an expectation to be successful with that. Okay, so the challenge today is, before you can begin to build that call sheet that we've talked about, you have to apply your game plan. Okay, we just discussed building a game plan prior to this. So take a few minutes this week and align your upcoming decisions with that game plan. Pick something from your game plan and add some actual action steps to that. Okay, create a call sheet for that. If you have a couple of areas and you're comfortable doing that, do it a couple of areas. If not, just start with one. Okay, this is a process, and I think for everybody it's a little bit different. Just like we talked about, every coach has a different call sheet. I think this looks different for everybody. So just kind of figure out what works for you, but I hope that it helps you. Okay, next week we'll talk about direction in detail, what it looks like to make decisions that have direction in mind. Thanks for joining us today on Down and Distance. If today's conversation challenged you or encouraged you, then I ask you to share it with a friend that you think could also benefit. Also, if you'd like to partner with us for your next event or your next retreat, we'd love to team up with you and help build men that lead with purpose and advance with strategy. Please visit www.downanddistance.org to learn more and to connect with our team. Until next time, remember that men are at their best when they live decisively, purposefully, and rooted in God's design, allowing them to lead with purpose and advance with strategy. This is Down and Distance.